So I always wonder, and I'll ask you this question. If you had a superpower, what would it be? For me, my favorite superhero is Batman. I think the best superpower to have is to be rich, but that's just me personally. But there is a financial superpower. And that superpower that we're talking about today is generosity. Generosity is the cornerstone of God's heart. And if you want to know how to expedite your wealth journey, how to make more money, how to have more happiness and fulfillment in your finances, look no further than generosity. Today, we're going to talk about how generosity impacts your financial health and your spiritual well-being. You may think that being generous means giving away all your wealth, but there's a biblical standard for what generosity is and for what generosity is not. Let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about generosity God's way. One of the first things that I want to talk about in generosity and what God's plan for generosity is that generosity is a part of God's DNA. John 3:16 makes it very clear. It says, "For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son." What is more generous, what is more selfless than taking a part of who you are, your most valuable possession, and giving it to a fallen world? When we look at the model for generosity, it's giving, it's sacrifice, it's giving of your most prized possession to someone that you love. I think when you look at the model of generosity, God has laid out the plan and the DNA for what that looks like. I know a lot of us may be saying, Patrick, I know I'm thinking about generosity from a financial context. Maybe I don't have any money. Maybe you're asking me, Patrick, to give money away or to be able to give resources away. Generosity can take many different spaces and it could take many different forms. For some of you, it may be being generous in your finances. For some of you, it may be generous with your time, generous with your emotions. Do you have a friend or a loved one who just needs a little bit of time from you, who just needs some prayer? I know for a lot of us, money isn't the thing that is going to be required of us from a generosity perspective. Some of us can give money without thinking twice, but when we're asked for time, attention, and detail, then it becomes difficult. So when you're thinking about generosity, one, know that it is a part of God's DNA and that he first modeled generosity in giving of his son to us. The second takeaway with the financial superpower of generosity is blessing others is a blessing to you. 2 Corinthians says, when we sow generously, we reap generously. I've mentioned this on previous videos, but I'll say it again. The most fun you'll have with money is not buying that car. It's not buying that house. It's going to be giving your money away. For a lot of us, we think that the dream car is the thing that we want the most. No, you don't actually want the dream car. You want the memories that you can create with loved ones in your life that dream car will provide. A lot of you may want a vacation, a dream vacation. Yes, you want the vacation, but you want the memories and the feeling of family and community that comes with it. Remember that when you give resources, when you give time, when you give energy, that it is returned to you tenfold. I remember there was a story that me and my wife, towards the end of the year, our church raises money for different initiatives and different things that will impact the community. And I remember we both heard a number from the Lord. And as always, my wife heard a number that was 3 times higher than mine. I'm like, I don't know what you heard, but that was not Jesus. And as always, we went back and we prayed, and I actually felt led to give the amount that she told me to give. So we came together as a family. And to be honest, that was a sacrificial gift for us. That gift meant that we weren't going to be able to go on an anniversary trip. It meant that there were some things that we were saving up for that we would have to delay that specific thing. So with fear and trembling, I walked to the front of the church. I gave my offering. And I'm not going to lie and say that it had all the faith behind it or it was one of the best gifts or I believe God was going to return it to me. I just knew that I heard a word and that I was going to be obedient. We were walking out of the church and a couple stopped me and my wife and they gave us an envelope and they said, hey, don't open this until you get into the car. So we get to the car. I'm thinking it's going to be a Christmas card or something of that nature. I open up the envelope and there's a check there. And the amount of the check was exactly double what we had just given. The faith step that we took to be a blessing to other people, within the span of 30 minutes, we left the service was returned to us in a doubling fashion. Now, I don't want you to think that because you're generous, this is a give to get thing. I don't want you to start manipulating the biblical principles around generosity and giving. But one thing I do want you to remember is that you can never outgive God. If the Lord prompts you to give, if he tells you to give to someone who's homeless or give to a friend, give to a family member, give to a church, I encourage you to listen. 3 things you should focus on. You should pray, you should hear, and you should obey. God is never going to manipulate you to give. So I encourage you, remember that to give is a blessing and that it will be returned to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You can never outgive God.
Imagine a life where your money no longer holds you back. The Winning with Money Step-by-Step Financial course is designed for just that. 7 powerful modules made to transform your money mindset, destroy your debt, teach you to invest wisely, and empower you to build wealth for yourself, for your ministry, for your future. This course equips you with the tools to make wise decisions and win with your money. Don't wait. Start your journey to create lasting financial freedom and prosper.
Lastly, there is a balance. I want to talk to those ultra generous people, that auntie who's watching this video, that friend who would literally give the clothes off of their back, that person, who would give to the church or give to an organization and maybe be a little bit late on their mortgage, maybe be a little bit late on their car note, but it's all in the spirit of generosity, right? No, there's order when it comes to financial management. You need to be a good steward, and a part of stewardship is understanding what of your resources needs to go towards you living life, preparing for the future, building a legacy, and being a blessing to your kids' kids. And then you need to have discretion and understanding, but most importantly, wisdom to know what part of your resources should be given away. Remember this, God will never call you to give to put you in a precarious situation financially. I do not believe the God that we serve would tell you to take mortgage money and to be able to give it away, to be able to take the money that you've saved up in your kids' college fund and to give it away, to pull out of your retirement, which allows you to retire with dignity, to be able to give it away. Generosity is only generous when you're able to give from your overflow. If you're giving from a place of lack, if you are giving from a place of struggle, I personally, you guys can disagree, maybe we could talk about it in the comments, but I believe true generosity comes after stewardship. God has called us to be able to win with money. He's called us to be able to steward the finances that he's given to us. So make sure we focus on these 3 things. Number 1, generosity is a part of God's DNA. 2, blessing others is a blessing to you. And 3, there is a balance that you must have when you're being generous. The goal is not to give away everything that you have, is to be a good steward and to hear from the voice of God when it comes to financial management. Oh, by the way, this is not just for the individual, but if you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you're a pastor that's leading a church, these principles of generosity stand true. What does that look like for a senior pastor? Hey, maybe the first focus should not be you giving away all of your money towards missions and outreach and benevolence when you're struggling to pay your staff. Maybe you shouldn't be giving all of your money away when you're struggling to pay for your mortgage or you're extremely tight in specific areas. For that entrepreneur, the same is true. God has called you to manage what he's given you well, and he will bless what you put your hands to. This was great. I think this is one of the best conversations that I've heard. I'm a little bit biased about generosity and about how God has called us to manage our money and to give it away with good systems, good practices, and good principles. Remember, you can't outgive God, and there will always be greater opportunities to be a blessing on every occasion. So here's the fee. I got a fee for the show. We don't actually have a fee, but what I want you to do is I want you to like, I want you to share, and I want you to comment, and I want you to subscribe. The conversations that we're having on this channel, I believe, are going to be not just generationally changing conversations, but something that can move you forward faster in the area of financial management for you, for your business, for your church, for your family. Remember that generosity is at the heart of God, and that when we can manage the process of generosity well, we can be a blessing on every occasion. Remember, you don't have to be rich to win with money. You just have to know how to prosper.